Welcome to the Melanin Wellness Podcast, your go-to destination for all things health, beauty, and empowerment for people of color. The Melanin Wellness Podcast is more than just a podcast. It's a celebration of diversity, resilience, and self-love. I believe that wellness should be accessible to everyone. And here, I aim to provide a platform where we can share knowledge, inspire positive change, and uplift our communities. I'm your host, Cori, and this is the podcast for seekers of knowledge on wellness. And I'm thrilled to embark on this journey with you. What's up, family, and welcome back to another episode of the Melanin Wellness Podcast. And today we're going to be continuing our Toolkit to Emotional Healing series. And I am very excited about this topic because it coincides with the new book I just wrote, Note to Self. And it is all about emotional healing and finding a pathway through after trauma and like showing what the other side of trauma can look like when you are able to heal those past wounds. And so the topic we're going to be diving in today is both profound and transformative. It is the power of movement for emotional healing. We all know how good it feels to move our bodies and to dance, to walk, to stretch. But did you also know that movement isn't just about physical fitness? It has an incredible ability to heal our emotional wounds and elevate our spirits. So in this episode, we're going to talk all about how movement can help us process our emotions, release tension, and find balance within ourselves. But before we get deep in today's episode, y'all know how we do over here. We always begin with 30 seconds of gratitude. Today, I am grateful for resources. Because oftentimes when we are in dark spaces and we are struggling to overcome adversity and challenges, we forget the resources that we have available. And oftentimes we don't tap into them. But I am grateful for the band of resources and support that I have surrounding me. So I'm so grateful for that. I'm also grateful for memory recall. And I know that might sound really left, but go with me here. Memory recall is the ability to remember other things after the thing has happened, long after it's happened. And again, sometimes when we're struggling and we are in places of darkness and pain and grief, we sometimes can forget the happy times, the better times, the accomplishments. And I'm so grateful for that today because I have needed to call on my memory recall during my own struggles. And finally, I am grateful for peace. Walking a healing journey is often one of the most unpeaceful times you will have. It will be constant disrest, constant disruption, a lot of pain, a lot of emotion. And so when you get those moments of peace where the storm is calmed, you will be so grateful for those, and I am today. Now I know that was probably more than 30 seconds. In fact, I know for a fact it was, but that's okay. Because I know from experience that practicing gratitude shifts your vibrations. It shifts your emotional being. It shifts your mindset. And it helps you to see the path forward. So I'm so grateful for that. Now, let's start by exploring the connection between movement and our emotional state. Research has shown that when we engage in physical activity, our brain releases those feel-good hormones called endorphins. That can help to lift our moods and reduce our stress. But beyond that, movement helps us to connect to our bodies in a much deeper way. Think about it. When we feel anxious or depressed, we may find ourselves becoming more sedentary. We're sitting around more, watching more TV, sleeping more, or even eating our feelings. I know I tend to do that sometimes when I get down and out. But this can create a cycle where the body feels heavy and the mind becomes more clouded, lending to brain fog. By introducing movement into our lives, we can help break that cycle. So whether it's going for a brisk walk or taking a dance class or even practicing yoga, each movement allows us to express emotions that we may be holding on to consciously or subconsciously. So today, the question I would like you to consider as you listen to this episode and in each day during your healing journey: what does my body need right now? So what type of movement you choose will very much be based on the answer to that question. There are days that I need weights and treadmills and, a lot of high intensity. And those are the days that I choose the gym. But the days where I feel that things need to be a little slower and I have more emotions and more inner work, like really deep, that I need to process and address, I'm going to be on my mat in my yoga practice doing breath work, because people don't know, but yoga helps to release emotions in various ways. And we're going to get into that a little deeper into the episode. So whether you have determined what your medium is right now or not, I hope the rest of this episode is going to help you start to figure out what resonates best with you and when. Okay, so now that we've established why movement is important, let's discuss a few practical ways to incorporate it into your emotional healing journey. So these are just a few tips and a few of my thoughts on practices that you can incorporate. A lot of these I've incorporated into my own healing journey. So hopefully this will help spark creativity for you to figure out what works best for you. So 1, mindful walking. So basically what you want to do is you want to take a moment to step outside. And as you begin your walk, try to focus entirely on the sensations of your body moving, the feeling of your feet touching the ground, the rhythm of your heart. This simple practice can ground you in the present moment and calm your mind. And I love that this one specifically talks about grounding, because going outside can be a very grounding experience in and of itself. So I will go outside every day, like step outside on my deck, and I will just stand there for a few moments and take in the entire scene. I'm taking in the air, I'm taking in the sounds, I'm taking in what I see. And oftentimes that is the time where I practice my take 5. And that is using all 5 of my senses, especially when I am particularly anxious. So you're going to focus on what you can see, what you can hear, what you can smell, what you can taste, and what you can feel. And so, but you would do a countdown of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So depending on the scenario you're in would determine which sense goes where. So I do that, and it is very helpful for me, and it does help me to reground and become more, I'm trying to think of the correct word. It gives me more of a sense of calm and steadiness. I guess that would be one way to put it. And that's what grounding does for you. There are times where I go outside in my yard in bare feet. I don't do this very often because I don't like the way the grass feels on my feet. But it is a grounding practice that most people, try. You go outside and you put your feet in some grass. You're actually touching the ground, and that is a very amazing grounding practice. So grounding is a huge, huge thing here because it does disrupt your nervous system's response to stress and anxiety. Now let's move on to number 2, dancing it out. So turn on your favorite upbeat music and just dance like nobody is watching. Allow yourself to feel the music and let loose. Dance can be an incredibly liberating and invaluable tool for emotional release. Now, when I tell y'all that I will dance anywhere, anytime, that is exactly what I will do. I don't know if it's my background in dancing, but I do know that even when I'm at the gym and I'm lifting weights, I'm dancing. And it just, I don't know, it takes my workouts to a different level and it feels so good. It releases even more of those feel-good endorphins. I lose myself in the beats. I lose myself in the rhythms, and it just feels good. That's one of the reasons why people enjoy going to clubs. Some people enjoy going to clubs for that reason. Some people enjoy going to house parties. That was one of the things that made Zumba classes, dance fitness classes, so appealing because you literally could lose yourself in the rhythm of the music. And the things that I would release during my dance classes were just, I would come back so exhausted, but it was always a good thing. All right, so we're going to move on to number 3, which is yoga and breath work. So yoga is a fantastic way to connect movement with breath, promoting relaxation and clarity. So even just a few minutes of gentle stretches can create a profound shift in your emotional state. And I was saying earlier when we were talking about yoga, most of us hold emotions in our hips. We hold emotions and trauma in our hips, and many of us do not know that. And so that is one of the reasons why some folks become emotional during yoga or deep stretching, and that is because you are releasing emotions that have been trapped in your hips. And so like every morning when I wake up, before I get out of bed, after I do my gratitude, I do some stretches. It doesn't just wake up my body and warm up my body for the day, but it does help me to release anything that I may have dreamt about the night before, or just to get me going and to get me out of an emotional state that I may be in, especially like kind of right now, because right now I am dealing with so many things after writing the book that it is weighing on me like kind of all the time. So like it is very helpful for me to do that in the morning before I get out of bed. And then at night, after my day has come to an end, before I go to bed, it is a part of my nighttime routine where I will also do a mini yoga session, some deep stretching, some deep breathing exercises before I rest, because it helps to release any emotions or anything that I may have been carrying with me throughout the day that I may have been dealing with, so that I can have a restful night's sleep. So now we're going to move on to number 4, which is journaling after movement. After any movement practice, take a few moments to journal about how you're feeling. This can help you to process emotions that may have come up during your movement session. Now, if you listen to the episode of Journaling for Emotional Healing, you will have heard me say that it's important to, keep track of what you're doing, because journaling provides you of like a snapshot of your healing process and your healing journey. And oftentimes we can't see how far we've come if we just try to do it based upon memory and what we're remembering. And so it's the same way with journaling right after movement. In fact, I will journal just before movement and then again after movement, because it allows me to see what I was able to deal with prior to, or if I was stuck on something and couldn't quite figure out how to put it. Also, it allows me to see things that maybe I couldn't see before, or things that came up for me during my movement that I may not even have been aware of, prior to. So I find that that is a good practice. Even it doesn't have to be anything long. It could just be super quick. or you just write something really quick before your journal, before you start movement, and then after your movement. Now, as I wrap up today's episode, I encourage you to take a moment to reflect on your relationship with movement. How can you incorporate more movement into your daily life for emotional healing? Whether it's through walking, dancing, yoga, or any other form of movement, remember that your body is a powerful tool for emotional expression and healing. There is no one-size-fits-all approach. What works for you may not work for someone else. What works for me may not work for you. Find out what resonates with you. That is what is important. My new book, Note to Self, Lessons on Trauma and Thriving in Its Aftermath, it releases officially on October 16th. So we've got a couple of weeks before it releases. It'll be available on my website. And in this book, I provide my own formula on how I began healing from my traumas and all the things that I have been through. And I believe and I'm hoping that it will be a valuable tool for others who may be on a healing journey, beginning a healing journey, or, maybe feeling stuck, So I'm really hoping that it will be an invaluable resource. We will talk about it more as the date gets closer. And I will definitely post my website so that you can get on the wait list for when it drops so that you can grab it as soon as it's released. One more thing, if you have got a question that you want read and answered on the show, please submit them to me at the Melanin Wellness Podcast at gmail.com. Everything that I've discussed in this episode will be in the description box below. And thank you again so much for joining me today on the Melanin Wellness Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and share it with your friends. Let's spread the word about the transformative power of movement in our lives. And remember, healing is a journey, and you do not have to walk it alone. Until next time, move freely, love openly, and keep embracing your journey of healing. Be well, family.